Hey! Yo! Hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing Batman! Life After Death. Take a look at this comic cover right here. Now, Batman Life After Death is done by writer and artist Tony Daniel. And you may remember some of Tony Daniel's art from such works as The Teen Titans or Batman R.I.P. He also did the art and writing on Batman Battle for the Cowl. In Batman Life After Death is a continuation of sorts of many plot elements from Batman Battle of the Cowl. Most notably the plot element of the new Black Mask. See, there's a new Black Mask basically running roughshod all over Gotham, and no one knows who he is. We don't know if he's the old Black Mask who was supposedly killed by Catwoman, or if he's a new Black Mask that decided to take on the sick, twisted, maniacal title that we all kind of known and love, like a teddy bear. Kind of. Well, not really. But anyways, moving on. In this, we get to find out who the new Black Mask is, what's his motivation, how he's going to accomplish these motivations, and is Batman able to take down Black Mask. In addition to his greatest challenge that Dick Grayson has fought yet, being Black Mask, he has to go up against the likes of the Penguin, Hugo Strange, Dr. Death, and the supposed return of the Reaper, who, by all accounts, should be out of continuity. But I'll look past that. Dick Grayson's on his own, and he's facing up against one of the biggest, if not the biggest challenge since the passing of his mentor, since Bruce Wayne has disappeared, since he's become the Batman. He's all alone, very few friends to help him out, and he has to take on this challenge head on. He has to truly become the Dark Knight to take out the Black Mask. So, will Dick Grayson succeed in this, or will he just stumble and fall? You're going to have to read and see. So let's get into the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. Well, let's start things off with good, as we always do. Art. You know, I have to take a moment just to talk about art here. Tony Daniel's art is really, really great. It's not the best art that I've seen, but it is high up there. I would prefer artists such as George Perez and Jim Lee over Tony Daniel when it comes down to, say, Batman stuff. But right now, the stuff he's pulling out is just... He's like a 9 out of 10 artist. He does fantastic work with the drawings, and it really captures the atmosphere that is Batman. It's, you know, I commented lastly in my Batman Battle for the Cowl review, which Tony Daniel did the art in, that he really captured the nightmarish-like look of Gotham at the time, the chaos that was ensuing, you know, the maniacalness of Jason Todd. He really does this here. It's a very nightmare-like situation, very grim, very scary. It really is well done art. I like how he portrays Dick Grayson with his art, and Selina Kyle is very nicely done, and Black Mask just looks sinister as hell. He's a really great artist, and you should give credit where credit's due. I enjoy him being on the Batman title, and I hope he stays for quite a bit of time, because he does fantastic work with Batman art-wise. Story-wise, another good thing about this is that this is Dick Grayson alone as Batman. It is great. You're probably all saying, what are you talking about? Well, with Grant Morrison's Batman and Robin, it is Batman and Robin. And let's be honest here. Robin is really more showcased favorably more than Batman. I like to think Batman and Robin, Grant Morrison stuff, is more of a Damian book than it is a Dick Grayson book at all. To have a book like this, a series like this, that focuses just on Dick Grayson. Yeah, sure, Robin, Huntress, or Oracle may show up once in a while, but this focuses just on Dick Grayson as Batman. And I feel more akin to this Dick Grayson as Batman than I do from the one with Paul Dini's Hush Money, or the one from Batman and Robin's Grant Morrison. Not to say those Dick Graysons are bad, but they're not really Dick Graysons as Batman. When I read this, I don't think of Dick Grayson, I think of Batman. He does a very good job at convincing me that Dick Grayson is in fact Batman. He's not just some kind of temporary replacement, which technically he is, but it makes me actually feel as though the character has ascended to the level of the Dark Knight, which I think is a great thing. It really makes me like Dick Grayson being in this position. And as we all know, Bruce is going to be returning. But let's just say in a hypothetical situation Bruce never did return, they decided to keep Bruce dead, I'd be okay with Dick being Batman after reading material like this. It's just good stuff with Dick as Batman. I also enjoy the choice that they made for the Black Mask. I'm not going to reveal who it is, although if you read Batman Arkham Reborn, you probably could figure it out because it's spoiled in that. And it was spoiled for me a bit in this. But the way they do things with who Black Mask is, and just the overall portrayal of Black Mask as being kind of a separate personality for this individual, it just works out great, and it is enjoyable. I was worried when they brought Black Mask back as a villain and not have the original Black Mask be that Black Mask. Black Mask. Sorry if there's a lot of Black Mask there. But I was concerned about a replacement to the original Black Mask. But I feel comfortable now knowing that Black Mask is going to be a villain that's going to stay around for quite a bit of time, and I feel as though he would be a great future villain for Dick Grayson exclusively as Batman. Seeing that we are going to have two Batmans around for a while, Dick and Bruce, I really would look forward to seeing Black Mask exclusively as a villain for Dick Grayson, because he's really badass. Let's move on to the bad, because despite all the good I'm throwing in there, there is a bit of bad in this too. First off is the story just kind of starts off really confusing and a mess. It feels as though Tony's throwing too many story elements at us at once. I thought going into the story is just going to be focused mainly on the Black Mask thing and not focus on all the other random stuff thrown in there too. But they throw in stuff like the return of the Falcones, this new cat girl running around, the Penguin thrown in there, and then we also have elements like the Reaper, and then we have the Black Mask stuff, and it just feels as though it's too much at once for the first two issues. It starts to mellow off a little bit by issue 3, but for someone that's going into reading this, it can be kind of a turn off being overloaded with so much stuff at once. You really just don't know what to follow, and what's important, and what you can kind of just breeze right through. So that's one bad. Second bad, and I don't know if you would really consider this a bad, but I'm going to put it in as a bad, is that this is 7 issues long, which is by all means good because you're getting it for $20, and that's actually a really good deal. But the last 2 issues have nothing to do whatsoever with the Black Mask story. Actually, it's a completely separate story that deals with the Riddler and Firefly and some magician dude that no one gives a shit about. And while the story was good, it was no way at all bad. It just kind of messed up the flow of things. When I was reading the story, I was all into it. I was like, yes, this is good. I like this. I'm enjoying this, you know. And then we get to this new story, and it just feels as though the momentum stops. Just stops. I can understand having a short story in there with a bigger story, but it feels better when you put the short story first rather than last, because then the momentum's not stopped with the story at all. The ending is the ending. The short story will be first, and then you have this longer story where then you get to the ending and you get that satisfaction. I get the big story first, I get that momentum, I get to the end, I'm all pumped, and then I get the short story. Which again, isn't bad. It's actually a good story. But it just kind of felt as though it stopped the momentum. So that's another bad, too. It really did kind of affect the reading for me. It may not affect the reading for you, but it does affect the reading for me. Another thing about this story is that you really have to pay attention to it. I'm not saying that this is an overly complicated story like, say, Grant Morrison does with like Batman R.I.P. and all that, where you kind of have to intensely follow it. But this story is a story that you should read in one sitting. It's not something that you can kind of put to the side and then pick up later. Well, I'm sure you could do that, but I feel as though you would probably get more satisfaction in reading this in one sitting. And that comes down to the fact that you have the time to read this all in one sitting. I have no school today because of the holiday, and I have no work because, well, I didn't tell my boss that I had no school. But the fact of the matter remains is that I had time to read this all in one sitting. For you? I'm not saying that you can't read this in separate chapters, but if you do that, you're going to have to go back and just kind of breeze through and see exactly where you are, because it is an intense story. Whether or not you should get it. Well, before actually picking up this book, I always kind of look online to see what people think of the book beforehand, just so that I know what I'm getting into. And I actually saw some disfavorable reviews of Batman Life After Death. So I kind of went into this book with low expectations. And I was surprised because this book is really fun. I enjoyed this. It worked well for Dick Grayson being Batman. I like the fact that you actually feel as though Dick Grayson is Batman. It is Dick Grayson on his own. It's not like Robin's being showcased in this too much or someone else's. This is just a Dick Grayson story. And I like that. And the story itself was good. Is it the best story out there? No, but it worked out pretty well. The art was great. And let me just say, Tony Daniel, when it comes down to doing art and a story, does a very good job. I still think as though he needs to tweak a few things with his Batman stuff, maybe the flow of the story, but on a whole, I can see in the future he's going to be a fantastic Batman artist and writer if he sticks to his guns and he learns from his few mistakes. On a whole, I do recommend picking this up. Don't believe whatever people tell you about it being bad or anything like that. It does have its few faults here and there, but the story itself is satisfying, it's good, and for the most part, everyone feels in character. I do feel as though Damian does feel a little out of character in this, just a little, but he shows up so little that it doesn't really much matter. Dick Grayson feels true to form as Batman, and everyone else kind of just falls into place. With that said, I do recommend Batman Life After Death. Do know that it does have its faults, but it is an enjoyable story, and I look forward to the more material that Tony Daniel does, not only as an artist, but also as a writer. So with that said, Life After Death. I guess there is life after death for Dick Grayson. This is Andrew saying, peace out for now.